But I thought I'd do a live stream on YouTube because I've not done one yet, and we've got between 300 and 400 subscribers on YouTube. So it's nice to do a little live stream and talk about some of the exciting things that are coming Living History UK's way over the next few months. So we've got three things that are happening. So one, we've got a competition which is currently in progress at the moment, and that's on TikTok. So you'd have to go over to TikTok. So if you don't follow us already on there, it's at Living History UK. That's the username that we have, and there's a video on there. It's about 8 videos back on our feed. All you need to do is watch the video, pop a comment on as to why you'd like to win the 24-hour ration box, because that's what you'd be winning. It's worth £30 as well. And tag someone in the comments as well, and you'll enter. And the latest you can enter is in 2 days' time, so the 9th of October. The winner for the 24-hour ration box is going to be drawn on a live stream this Sunday night, so the 10th of October. And it's completely free to enter, so it's worth a punt. It's worth a go. So get yourself over onto the Living History UK TikTok and find the video. It's got competition in yellow writing across it, and you can enter yourself into the competition and be in with a chance of winning. Fly UK says you can use OBS, use your iPhone as the camera. My phone's on charge at the moment, but I will look at doing that and embedding the link in that way. That is definitely an option that I'll explore for the next one. But at the moment, here we are. This is where we are. So we've got three exciting pieces of news. One, we've got just gone through that, so that's the competition. Number two, we are jointly launching a podcast with Jake Brown. So if anyone knows the Jake Brown collection, we're launching that podcast in the next fortnight. So it's going to be called the Young Contemptibles. It's a bit of a play on words. The old Contemptibles was the name sort of worn as a badge of honour by the British troops of 1914 at the start of the First World War, for anyone who doesn't know. And the Kaiser famously himself called them the Old Contemptibles because they were a real thorn in the German side, because the Germans completely outnumbered them, but the British completely outclassed them. And they were really a real thorn in the German side. So the Kaiser called them quite stubbornly the Old Contemptibles. So we are sort of launching a podcast with a bit of a play on that. So it's going to be called the Young Contemptibles, and it's going to be myself and Jake Brown. And from time to time, we're going to have guests join us on the podcast to talk about specialist subjects, amongst many other exciting things. And that podcast will be completely free to listen to, and it'll be launching on the iTunes podcasting service and also over on Spotify as well. And when that is live and you're able to listen to it, you'll be able to follow the link, which will be put up on our YouTube videos and also on TikTok as well. So keep an eye out, a keen beady eye out for those announcements, which will be going up in the next sort of fortnight or so. And the third piece of news, which is very exciting, I have to admit, is we are hosting a Living History UK festival next year. So it's going to be next April or May time, and it's going to be held at a venue in the Midlands in England, in case anyone's watching internationally. And it's going to be held. I won't spill the beans as to exactly where, but it's going to be somewhere in the Midlands, at a very exciting venue, and we're going to have a real cross section of living history groups. So it's very much going to be quality over quantity. So we're going to be hand picking the best living history groups for each period. And we're going to be covering the Napoleonic era all the way through to the Cold War. And we're going to have so the First World War will be broke down into three distinct sections of 1914, 1916, and 1918. And also the Second World War will be broke down into BEF, North Africa, Italy, airborne forces, and also Normandy troops as well. And there'll be military vehicles there as well. And also you'll have talks as well. So myself, Jake Brown, Pete Neal, hopefully Simon Moore as well of Rifleman Moore fame, and Ramsey Green will be guest speakers at the actual event, hosting proper lectures on various specialist subjects. So if you're into military history, the Living History UK Festival is where you want to be. And the best thing about it is it's going to be a real nominal fee to get in. It's not going to be nothing extortionate like some other festivals charge. It's going to be a real respectable fee. But again, much like the podcast, more information about that festival is going to be released in due course. So you need to follow us on YouTube and also follow us on TikTok. So TikTok is our main focal point. That's where the magic happens. And yes, Jake Brown is famous now. We've kind of ushered him into the 21st century, dragging and screaming onto TikTok. So he's um, he's definitely getting there now, bless him, which is really really good. So he's doing well, and he's a really interesting lad as well. Maybe we'll even see Pete Neal on this platform in the future. You'll never know. We shall see. But I've put a poll up anyway in the chat. So, will you be listening to the Young Contemptibles podcast? Be honest. If you're not, you're not. If you are, you are. It'll be interesting to know what people think of it. It's had a real warm reception on over on TikTok so far. There's quite a few people saying they're going to listen to it, and over on Instagram as well. So that is fantastic news. So they're the three pieces of news of things that are happening over the next few months. So you're among the first to hear about what is going to be happening. So if you've got any questions, guys, let me know. Pop them in the chat, and I'll answer them. For anyone who's not sure who I am and you're just sort of tuning in, my name is Steve Davis. I'm the founder of Living History UK. We set up back in January, originally on TikTok. We're still on there for that matter. But also we sort of joined YouTube as well, and we post our videos up on YouTube. And then I have to admit, it's been a while since we've made a video purely for YouTube, but we will be making a specific video for YouTube in the near future. The main focus at the moment is going into the festival and also going into our podcast as well. So the podcast is going to be a really interesting one. We're going to be dragging guests onto the podcast. It's going to be a weekly episode release. We're going to be aiming for around 30 to 40 minutes per podcast. We'll be looking at specific subjects. So we'll be talking about specific battles, events, pieces of kit, uniform and equipment of a particular soldier from a particular era, and dispelling myths as well, because that's one of the big things of living history. Because we're in a very unique position where we can we're experimental archaeologists, so we put things to the trial and we set people to task. So, for instance, the First World War, something that a lot of people will talk about, is the fact that the British soldiers were told to walk during the Battle of the Somme. They were told to walk and ordered to walk from their trench to the German trench, and a lot of people say, "Well, that's absolutely bonkers. It doesn't make any sense." But in essence, it proves total sense, because if you run 200, 250, 300 yards wearing full battle rattle, so your helmet, you've got your extra ammunition, your sandbags, all your webbing, your wool uniform, puttees and boots and a shovel, etc., all your food with you as well, your emergency iron ration, and you run from your trench to the German trench, by the time you get there, you're going to be absolutely shattered. So that's why the guys weren't told to run, because if they did, they'd expend all their energy straight away. They need to stop to have a breather. They need to have a drink. They need to have something to eat and replenish those calories that they've burnt off. And obviously, they wouldn't be fit to give battle by the time they got to the German trench. And it would mean if they went into hand-to-hand combat, they'd be struggling. So essentially, it's going to be myth busting as well, and it's going to be really interesting because we're going to have special people come onto the channel as well who are specialists in their chosen sort of field. So John Shanahan, who's just joined us, he's going to be a guest on one of the podcasts. Jake tells me, which is going to be really exciting. Um, Correct me if I'm wrong, John, but I believe you're quite into your post World War II bits and bobs as well. And to be honest, on a broader sort of note, it's going to be very interesting to learn about that period, so specifically the Cold War. So I have to be honest, I've never ever delved in to the Cold War sort of era, so I don't particularly know much about it, and it's going to be really interesting for me to start from almost zero and further my knowledge, and that's going to be something that you guys listening to the podcast will be able to join in with, and we'll take questions from people as well. So if you've got questions or specific subjects that you want us to cover on the podcast, then let us know, because we'll strive and do our utmost to cover it, because the community is built by you guys. You see, so the podcast is going to be a really interesting little journey for us. I'll say little; it's going to be a big journey. We've got big plans for it, And coupling in with that, the festival next year is going to be a real interesting one. We've got some amazing groups there. It's going to be the cream of the living history fraternity that are joining us for the event. And we've got some real good things planned. They've actually got a narrow gauge steam railway there and also a tram network as well. And it's going to be really, really good. So we're going to be hammering the date down next week and sorting the finer details out. And then we'll start booking the groups in formally, and then we'll be able to go public with the actual further details on how you can buy a ticket. There'll be camping overnight as well if people want to stay over. There'll be proper electric hookups if you've got a caravan, etc. If you really want to get yourself involved, but if you're one of the living historians lucky enough to be invited to take part, there will be a sort of party night on a Saturday night, and we'll have some entertainment and some a bit of a bar open, etc. So it's going to be a real interesting weekend. It's going to be really good fun as well. But above all else, it's going to be a great way of learning and building contacts as well, rubbing shoulders with people you can really teach you a hell of a lot, really. So John Shanahan says Op Banner collects World War One and World War Two, Vietnam, and Op Banner as well. So yeah, World War One and World War Two is totally my bag. Vietnam again, I don't really know anything much about Vietnam, and Op Banner as well. So I'm actually really getting quite excited to learn about the kind of post World War Two military history side of it, because I know that Jake's really into that. But then again, by the same token, going back further, Jake doesn't particularly know anything about the Napoleonic era, but that, along with the Civil War, is one of my favourite periods of military history. So it's going to be really exciting to delve into that rich military history that we have in this country. So bring it on, bring it on. We're going to go live on TikTok very shortly. So if you guys want to hop over onto TikTok and join us on there, we're going to play a few songs on the guitar. We're going to have a chat about the exciting plans we've got, and we'll take some more questions over on there. It seems to be a more popular platform for live streaming. So yeah, get yourself over to Living History UK on TikTok. You can enter the 24-hour ration competition as well, which is currently ongoing. You've got until Saturday to enter. You just need to find a video. It's about 8 videos back on our TikTok feed on our profile, and you just comment on the video as to why you'd like to win, and it's completely free to enter. The winner will be drawn on a live stream on Sunday night, completely at random. So that's going to be a really interesting one. Mika Parsons has also been watching. Good to see you, mate. He says it's absolutely incredible to hear a little of your plans for the future. The future is going to be really, really good, and a lot of you guys are going to be a part of it as well. Mika, if anyone doesn't know, is actually in a couple of groups that I'm in. We're good pals. In fact, we've got a school visit in a couple of weeks' time, which is going to be really good. So we've got a couple of year six classes. We're going to be taking a load of World War One equipment in and talking to them about the First World War, because it's actually part of the curriculum at the moment, which is fantastic. So that just goes to show you how much of an effect Living History UK has and is continuing to have on society in that sense, which is really good, because we only set up in January, and the TikTok account has shot up to 54,000 followers at the moment, which is absolutely astounding. But there we go. I wanted to do this live stream for a number of reasons, so we could do a bit of a showcase to you folks who follow us on obviously on YouTube. Also, we get to try the new fancy microphone out as well and the headphones. So that's why we're here. But let us know, are you going to be watching the Young Contemptibles podcast? Drop a comment in the comments below if you're watching. And this is a live stream, so comment either in the chat or you can put it on the actual video once we've posted it up when we're finished. John Shanahan says, "What was your trigger into collecting?" So we will cover this on a podcast in the near future. It's one of the first episodes we're going to record. But in a nutshell, my oldest memory of sort of living history was my dad took me to English Civil War battles when I was about 7 or 8 years old, and that really got me interested in history. And then from there, I watched a lot of war films. I started getting interested in the Second World War and the First World War. And it kind of just was a bit of a domino effect. So by the time I was about 15, 16, and I started earning a bit of a wage, I started delving, dabbling in the world of living history. I started off on Spotify, first of all. Sorry, is the podcast on Spotify? It will be on Spotify, but it will also be on iTunes as well. And I think it's going to be on Google Play. It's going to be on quite a few platforms. But yeah, the trigger from that, I started off in English Civil War with my sort of journey in reenactment and living history, and then went into a bit of medieval, but then went on to Napoleonic. It's only in about the past sort of 5, 6 years I've started going down the route of World War II and then subsequently World War One as well. But we'll go into much more detail on that in a future podcast. So there we go. That's the live stream over and done with on YouTube. Hope you enjoyed it. Drop a comment. Don't forget to subscribe to us if you don't already, and go and follow us over on TikTok because that's where the magic happens. Until next time, keep history alive.